Hello, Anicod here. Now, have you ever wanted to feel like a superhero electrocuting noobs that are silly enough to enter your base uninvited? Well, today I'm going to show you how by using the trap that is the Tesla Coil. This thing not only causes damage, but it slows the victims down as well, making them more vulnerable to gunfire and other nasty surprises. I'll show you how to set these up and a couple of different trap base designs at the end of the video, so stick around for that. To craft one of these you'll need 3 high qual and 1 tech trash. You can come across these in lock crates and oil rig crates. They do damage based on the amount of voltage you put into them. For example, if you put 30 power in, they'll do more damage than if you just put 1 power in. The maximum you can go is 35 though, so don't bother putting in large batteries to every coil, it's just going to be a waste of power. Oh, one more thing as well, the stack. So if you've got 2 coils activated, when a player walks in, it'll kill someone twice as fast and so on. Cool, eh? Now these can be placed in the usual spots, on the roof, on the wall, and even on the ceilings. This makes them super easy to conceal as well. Now, they come with a power in widget and pretty much nothing else. So no power out and no pass through. This means you have to wire them up individually to each circuit. Now it is designed this way on purpose so you don't get too carried away passing through coils from coil to coil all over your base, blowing up the server when someone triggers it and activates it. Now you know when the coil is active because it'll spew out unicorn farts all over your base. These things, when wired up directly to a power source, will refuse to turn off until it destroys itself. Yep, these things deteriorate while active until they fall apart, like your parents' marriage. Or whatever. If you catch them before they break apart, you can repair them with your mallet and a bit of high qual. It's important to wire these up so they turn on once triggered and not active all the time, and I will show you how to do that shortly. While we're covering this one, I want to say that these can't light fires or furnaces like some people think. Here, look. If you do want to light these up using an electrical component, use the igniter. The clue is in the title. Now, let's get rid of these. 360 no scope, boys! MLG. Now, there's a few ways you can trigger these, and I'm going to cover the most popular ones. You can use a pressure pad, a memory cell, a laser, a HBHF sensor, in fact, lots of things really. You can even use your mobile phone. If you're wondering how, the video in the cards up above now will show you exactly that. To use the pressure pad, put the power into the pad and the power out goes into the coil. You can cover the pad easily to hide it from intruders, and when you stand on it, it'll send 5000 volts up your winky. The laser is pretty much the same thing, power into the laser and power out into the coil. When you break the laser, it'll activate the coil. Just be mindful, the laser is much harder to hide, especially at night. The range is pretty far and it looks like you're going to be sniped by Soap McTavish. Rest in peace. My favourite is the HBHF sensor. Remember, if you want more than 1 volt going into your coil, you will need to use an AND switch. The HBHF sensor is basically a motion sensor that passes through power when it picks up movement. I've covered lots of these sensors in previous videos. Now you probably noticed the coil turning off when you're out of range or off of the pad or out of the laser or whatever. If you want to keep it turned on when triggered, you can use a memory cell. I'll cover this shortly as part of the trap base design I'm going to show you. Speaking of trap base, time lapse time! Now we have a foundation. Electric trap bases usually come with a door controller. Link these up to a closed and unlocked door. Don't forget to lock your door back up again. We're going to use the pad to start with. Place it down and cover it with a rug. You're going to hide the wires and components much better than I'm doing now, and make sure you hide the coil out of the way. Remember, you can put these behind and under objects, making them much harder to see. Now, we want the coils to stay on, so slap down a memory cell, put the power into the pad and out into the set of the memory cell. The inverted output needs to go into the door controller. This will hold the door open. Make sure the cell is powered, then you can test the circuit so far. Finally, put the output of the cell into the coil. That way, when the pad is activated, it'll switch power from the inverted, stopping power from going to the door and closing it. Meanwhile, it'll switch the power to the coil, turning it on, and frying you like a little mouse. Sorted. Now remember, when you use this method, the coil will stay on until it deteriorates and breaks. There is tons of ways you can turn it off. I'm going to show you how to do it remotely. Simply slap an antenna down, wire it up to the reset of the memory cell, make sure you set the frequency to the same one as your transmitter, and then when you press the button, it'll deactivate the circuit and completely reset it. You do have to be online for this, obviously, but it's a really good way of resetting it. Now, if you want to do it fully automatically, you can use a HBHF sensor. This is why it's my favourite. If you pair it up with an AND switch and a couple of blockers and a few other bits and bobs, you can be offline and still trap people in the base and make a decent profit. So what I'm going to do now is put a little bit of cool music on. I'm going to shut my mouth and you can watch me build it on paper. So here we go. Now if you want to add more than one coil, all you have to do is add a splitter like so, and you can add as many coils as you want. Just remember, the more coils you add, the weaker each coil will get, because it's all about the voltage you put into them, and that's the power that they give out. So now that everything's in place, let's give it a whirl, girl. When the inquisitive little mouse enters the base, the HBHF sensor will pick it up, it'll close the door and activate the coils. When the little mouse dies, the HBHF sensor will stop detecting the person. It'll then in turn turn off the coil and reopen the door again. And it'll keep doing this 24/7 whether you're online or not, usually until someone gets annoyed and blows the whole thing to bits. But let's face it, you've already embarrassed them at this point. So, really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've watched it this far, let me know you're a legend in the comments down below and I'll give you an Anicod heart. Thank you to the patrons that you saw halfway through the video. You're all legends as well. You can follow me on the usual social media like Twitter and Instagram and all that good stuff. And if you think I've missed anything, or if there's anything you want me to cover, let me know in the comments down below and I'll add it to the list and I'll make a video of it as soon as I get an opportunity. Again, I say it in every video, but the channel's been growing really good so far. It's all thank you to you guys supporting me all the way through it. Really appreciate it. And as always, thanks again and I'll see you in the next video.